The journey into the origin of Islam begins with a question that echoes across time and space. How did a small, determined community in the heart of the Arabian Peninsula transform into a civilization that would influence billions for centuries to come? In the vast, arid lands of pre-Islamic Arabia, known as the Jahiliyyah or the Age of Ignorance, the society was a tapestry of tribal loyalties, oral traditions, and a rich array of myths and idols. The people of this era, while vibrant in their cultural expressions, were also marked by division, superstition, and a way of life that lacked the spiritual and moral guidance that would later be revealed. This period, with its bustling trade caravans, desert poetry, and a system of tribal honor, set the stage for a transformative change. A change heralded by the first divine whisper that would come to reshape hearts and minds. In the midst of this chaotic yet colorful pre-Islamic world, a man was born who would become the beacon of a new path. Muhammad, known to his followers as the Seal of the Prophets, was born into the respected tribe of Quraysh in Mecca, a city that was already famous for the Kaaba, a sanctuary that housed numerous idols representing the various deities worshipped by the tribes. From a young age, Muhammad was known for his truthfulness, trustworthiness, and reflective nature. As he grew up, the societal ills such as social injustice, exploitation of the weak, and rampant idol worship became increasingly evident in his surroundings. His early life, steeped in the traditions of his people, would soon be disrupted by a divine intervention that would change not only his destiny, but that of the entire world. One fateful night, while meditating in the solitude of the cave of Hira, Muhammad experienced a revelation that would alter the course of history. In a moment of profound spiritual awakening, the angel Gabriel, appeared to him, commanding, "Iqra," or read. These first words, later recorded in Surah Al-Alaq of the Holy Quran, were more than just a call to literacy. They signified the beginning of a mission to bring the light of monotheism into a dark and divided society. The Quran emphasizes in these early verses the importance of knowledge, the origins of creation, and the mercy of the Creator. This moment, simple yet overwhelmingly powerful, ignited within him a purpose that resonated with the truth of a single, all-powerful God, rejecting the polytheistic practices that had long been the norm. The early revelations that Muhammad received were radical in their simplicity and clarity. They spoke of a world governed by one divine law, where every human being was equal in the eyes of Allah, irrespective of their tribal affiliation, social status, or wealth. This was a revolutionary concept in a society deeply divided by feuds and rivalry. The Quranic message stressed the importance of justice, mercy, and compassion, urging people to look beyond the superficial differences that separated them. In one passage, the Quran reminds believers that, "O mankind, indeed we have created you from male and female, and made you peoples and tribes that you may know one another." Quran 49:13, encapsulating the universal vision that Islam would come to embody. However, the journey was not without challenges. As Muhammad began to share these revelations publicly, the leaders of Mecca, who held power through the control of commerce and traditional religious practices, viewed his message as a threat. They opposed the call to abandon the old ways, clinging desperately to the familiar comfort of polytheism and tribal allegiances. The early Muslims, many of whom were family members, friends, and even slaves, faced persecution, social ostracism, and economic hardship. Their struggle was not only against a powerful establishment, but also against deeply ingrained cultural norms. In the face of such adversity, the words of the Prophet rang clear. "The best among you are those who have the best manners and character," Sahih Bukhari, urging his followers to remain steadfast, kind, and resilient even in the midst of hardship. As the message of Islam began to spread slowly among the oppressed and the curious alike, A transformation took place within the hearts of its followers. The teachings of the Quran and the exemplary character of Muhammad instilled in them a sense of purpose and dignity that transcended the limitations of their former lives. They learned that their faith was not just a set of rituals, but a complete way of life, a moral and ethical framework that emphasized compassion, humility, and social justice. This period saw the emergence of a community bound together by faith rather than kinship, a community that recognized the intrinsic worth of every individual. The Quran repeatedly calls on its followers to be charitable, to forgive, and to treat one another with kindness, and speak to people good words. Quran 283. Such directives fostered an environment where the bonds of brotherhood and sisterhood could flourish, even under the shadow of constant persecution. The transformation reached a turning point when the early Muslims, led by Muhammad, made the courageous decision to leave Mecca and migrate to the city of Yathrib, later known as Medina. This migration, or hijrah, was a seminal moment in Islamic history. In Medina, the Prophet was not only a spiritual guide but also a statesman who laid the foundations for a society based on mutual respect, justice, and collective responsibility. The Constitution of Medina, an early charter of governance, brought together diverse tribes and religious communities under a single framework that promised freedom of worship and the protection of every individual. This social contract was unprecedented for its time, setting a model for pluralism and communal harmony. The unity that emerged in Medina was a testament to the transformative power of the Islamic message, as it turned a disparate group of people into a cohesive community with shared values and responsibilities. In Medina, the growth of Islam was marked by both internal consolidation and external challenges. The new Muslim community had to navigate the realities of defending itself against hostile forces, while continuing to build an inclusive society rooted in divine guidance. Battles such as Badr and Uhud were not merely military confrontations, but also tests of faith, resilience, and unity. At Badr, a small band of believers faced a much larger force and emerged victorious, a victory that the Quran describes as a sign of Allah's support for those who believe. Quran 8:17. These events, though fraught with loss and hardship, reinforce the belief that Islam was not a product of mere human endeavor, but a divine mission entrusted to those who dared to uphold truth and justice. Even in the midst of conflict, the teachings of the Prophet emphasized mercy and forgiveness. It is narrated in Hadith that Muhammad said, "The strong is not the one who overcomes the people by his strength, but the strong is the one who controls himself while in anger." Sahih Muslim. This message of self-restraint and compassion was a cornerstone of the Islamic ethos, reminding the believers that true strength lay in the ability to forgive and to act justly, even towards adversaries. Such principles resonated deeply with those who had experienced the brutality of tribal warfare, offering them an alternative path defined by ethical conduct and mutual respect. The rapid expansion of Islam following the establishment of the Medina community was a result of both its spiritual appeal and its practical, just social order. As news of the fair and caring treatment of its people spread, more and more individuals began to embrace the faith, drawn by its promise of a just and equitable society. The conversion of entire tribes, the signing of treaties, and the establishment of peaceful relations with neighboring communities demonstrated that the message of Islam was universal and transcendent. The Quran's assertion that there is no compulsion in religion, Quran 2:26-56, underscored the idea that faith must be embraced voluntarily, a principle that fostered an environment of sincere belief and heartfelt conversion. Throughout this transformative journey, the life of Muhammad remained a beacon of light for his followers. His actions, characterized by humility, patience, and unwavering commitment to the truth, were a living embodiment of the divine message he received. One of the most famous hadith states, "Actions are judged by intentions, and everyone will be rewarded according to what he intended." Sahih Bukhari, a teaching that underscored the importance of sincerity in all aspects of life. His example taught that the essence of faith lay not in outward displays or rigid rituals, but in the inner transformation of the heart, a transformation that allowed individuals to rise above their past and strive for a higher purpose. As the narrative of Islam's origins unfolds, it is impossible not to see the interconnectedness of divine revelation, human endeavor, and the power of community. The origins of Islam are not confined to the story of a single man or a single event, but rather to a sweeping movement that emerged in a world rife with division and strife. The divine call that first echoed in the cave of Hira grew into a message that transcended time and culture, offering a blueprint for a life of meaning, justice, and compassion. The Quran, with its timeless verses, continues to serve as a guide for millions, while the Hadith literature preserves the practical examples and moral teachings of the Prophet. Together, they provide a holistic understanding of what it means to live a life devoted to the pursuit of truth and the betterment of humanity. In reflecting on the origin of Islam, one cannot help but be struck by the remarkable transformation that occurred in the Arabian Peninsula. From the depths of a society mired in ignorance and tribal conflict, a new vision of unity, equality, and divine guidance emerged. The message of Islam was radical in its simplicity and profound in its implications. It challenged the status quo, redefined moral values, and offered a path to social and spiritual renewal. This transformation was not the result of force or coercion, but rather the outcome of a deep inner conviction, a trust in divine wisdom, and the courage to stand for what was right. The lessons from this early period are as relevant today as they were centuries ago. They remind us that at the heart of every great movement lies the power of a simple idea, a call to recognize the inherent dignity of every human being and to build a community based on justice, compassion, and mutual respect. The Quran's invitation to serve Allah and join not any partners with Him, Quran 4:36, speaks to the universal quest for truth and the importance of living a life guided by principles that uplift rather than divide. Similarly, the Hadith teachings about kindness, forgiveness, and self-control encourage us to reflect on our own actions and to strive for a higher purpose in our daily lives. As the narrative draws to a close, the origin of Islam stands as a testament to the enduring power of faith and the transformative potential of divine guidance. It is a story that continues to inspire millions around the world, a story of a humble beginning that blossomed into a rich, vibrant civilization, one that has contributed immeasurably to art, science, philosophy, and human progress. The legacy of Muhammad, as remembered through both the Quran and the Hadith, reminds us that the true essence of any faith lies not in rituals alone, but in the way it shapes hearts, fosters unity, and elevates the human spirit. In conclusion, the origin of Islam is more than just a historical narrative. It is a living, breathing example of how divine intervention can change the course of human history. It teaches us that every individual has the capacity to rise above the limitations of their circumstances, to embrace truth and justice, and to contribute to a better world. The teachings of Islam, grounded in the clear and accessible language of the Quran and the practical wisdom of the Hadith, continue to resonate with people of all backgrounds, offering guidance in times of uncertainty and hope in moments of despair. The journey from the deserts of pre-Islamic Arabia to the establishment of a unified community in Medina is a story of resilience, faith, and the timeless quest for a just and compassionate society. It reminds us that even in the darkest of times, the light of truth can guide us toward a future filled with promise and unity. This exploration of Islam's beginnings From the spiritual awakening in the cave of Hira to the enduring legacy of a faith that has touched millions, invites us to reflect on our own lives and the values that define us. It is a narrative that transcends borders and generations, uniting people under the common banner of hope, justice, and the unwavering belief in one creator. The origin of Islam is a story of transformation, a journey that began with a single call to read, and has since become a powerful reminder of the strength of conviction, the beauty of simplicity, and the boundless potential of the human spirit.